Hey, everybody.
I guess,
Let's do it.
Yay!
oh, you're there?
Yeah, let's have a seat here. Oh, no. Good
Svetsky,
switch, but what?
Oh my God.
sign your autographs later, bro. He's so famous. He has a book
Is
now.
this thing on?
Everyone's got a book these days. Love it.
Okay, let's do
Drum roll.
Welcome, everybody, to Building Lightning-Focused Companies. Ray's meditating.
Hi, Hank.
Think he's in the zone.
Hi, buddy.
My name is Chris Hunter. I'm your moderator for the session. I am co-founder of Galloy. We build Bitcoin banking software. We're an open source company. We built a small community bank called the Bitcoin Beach Wallet in El Salvador, which helped lead to nation-state adoption of Bitcoin as money. Have four awesome panelists here, so to kick things off, I will let them introduce themselves and their companies. Des, why don't we start with you?
Hi, yeah, I am Desiree Dickerson, and I am CEO of Thunder Games. We are gamifying the world with Bitcoin, and we focus largely on mobile games and enabling Bitcoin rewards in the games and allowing people to onboard to Bitcoin and win sats in the palm of their hands.
I'm Justin Razvani, founder of Zion. We're a censorship-resistant social network built on the Bitcoin Lightning Network.
Hi, I'm Ray Youssef, CEO and founder of Paxful, and Paxful is our tool to get Bitcoin to the street, and it's worked in places like Africa and the global south, but there's more work to be done, which I can't wait to talk to you about.
I'm Jared Newsonoff, the founder of MASH, and we're focused on helping app developers, content creators monetize their experiences with Bitcoin and Lightning. So that's what we're focused on.
Awesome. So we're going to have a great conversation here today, but maybe I'll take a moment to frame the conversation and set the table because, as some people in this room will appreciate, Bitcoin's very misunderstood. And so, Bitcoin is a base layer protocol, and a lot of people make a mistake. They read Satoshi's white paper, and they read peer-to-peer cash, and they say, oh, I'll compare Bitcoin to PayPal, or I'll compare Bitcoin to Visa, something that feels like digital cash. And then they're like, oh, Bitcoin's not great because it takes 30 minutes to have certainty of confirmation or certainty of a transaction going through. And we published our thesis at Galloy 2 years ago where we compare Bitcoin to Fedwire, which is the base settlement layer for US dollars. And most people don't know how.
Can we get the people on the side to quiet down, please?
Svetsky, stop talking.
It's a little bit rude for the people that are up here. Thank you.
And so in our thesis, we compare it to Fedwire, where you have settlement of dollars, and we built layers over Fedwire post-World War II in order to make it easy for people and businesses to conduct commerce. We had commercial banks on top of Fedwire, and then in 1956, this thing called Diners Club, and in 1958, the precursor to Visa. So you got Fedwire, commercial banks, credit cards, ATM networks, peer-to-peer, like Venmo and PayPal showing up 25 years ago, all these layers. And analogously, I think the vision that all of us have for the future is very obvious to see because we're going to build layers on top of this magical settlement layer called Bitcoin. We've got layer 2 Lightning, which is effectively fast and free for transactions, and we're all building on top of Lightning, but I just want to frame that up. And so maybe I'll ask the panelists to give their point of view in terms of the current state of this layer 2 Lightning and how it ties to their company and how they're using it today. So maybe Des, we'll kick off with you.
Yeah, I feel like I've been doing the Lightning thing for so long now. And the one thing that was really interesting always to me, and I think Justin and you all are getting at it, Jared, where it's really, I view Lightning as this tool that brings this very powerful utility to Bitcoin. We always heard the whole, throughout the scaling debates, Bitcoin's slow, Bitcoin costs so much money, or the fees cost so much money, it's difficult to use. And kind of with the advent of Lightning, it really solves all of those problems, but then also, with the possibility of microtransactions, which is really powerful for what I do, it just opens up this new world of possibilities. So for instance, games traditionally, back, the oldest recorded game was in the Paleolithic era, and with that, gambling has always evolved aside that, along with that kind of inherent payment layer in games. And that was totally stripped away from games with the advent of the internet and kind of that connectedness. So, with the kind of rise of micropayments that Lightning enables, it allows us to add value back into games and actually empower players when they are playing these games, rather than just being a pawn of these like mega corporations who, just profit off of their players. So we're really just, using Lightning to bring value back to the player, and that's kind of what Layer 2 has enabled for us.
Awesome. Justin?
I think for creators, and I think creators are the most powerful mechanisms of change on the internet, the Lightning Network is the way that they can more easily interact with their audiences. For the first time, without having 6 layers of arbiters in between, a person can send a payment to the person that they love the most on the internet, and then in reciprocity, that creator can pay that person back in a Lightning channel. And I think that's never happened before in any state of the internet. The impacts of this is that future social networks don't have to be monetized again by a third party through advertising. The future social networks are in fact marketplaces where individuals are transacting freely through Lightning channels. And I think that's the most exciting part of the new future, is that creators and fans build a much closer relationship through the hardest money ever created, Bitcoin.
Yes, sir.
Ray, your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm a little tongue-tied. I'm feeling a little nervous because I'm so hyped, man. This is awesome! What's beautiful about this right now is that we have the good guys all in one room, in the same place, aligned in the same direction. When's the last time humanity had this and it wasn't crushed? We've got something beautiful here. They cannot crush this. You cannot stop an army of mosquitoes. That is powerful. Right? Yeah! All right, I love you all. I'll stop with that. I had to gush a little bit, but props and respect to everyone that's made it this far. But as you heard what those two brothers said, right? Francis and Zuko. Crypto is the attack on Bitcoin. Those are powerful words, sobering words. We should be aware of that. And what should that make us do? Move a lot faster. Move a lot faster to reach the streets, to reach the ground, because we're not moving fast enough. This is a wake-up call. This is something that I've been feeling in my heart. I am articulating it now, but we need to move faster in getting Bitcoin hard money to the streets. We all need to do this together. How are we going to do this? Well, we have something already, right? We have Bitcoin, peer-to-peer electronic cash, great. Now we have faster, cheaper payments on it. Beautiful, that makes payments viable at a price of $43,000. That's a great widget. You need that thing, and we're going to build around that thing, and we're going to do so with a lot more openness, a lot less greed, and a much more long-term view. So we'll certainly have success. Lightning will win out. You heard it here first, man. All the haters can go jump off a cliff. Woo-woo.
So Jared, always difficult to follow Ray's inspirational words, but why don't you tell people...
I couldn't be more hyped after that.
Exactly, yes.
So Lightning allows us to send money of any amount anywhere around the world effectively for free at the speed of bits. And we've never had that before. We have digitally native money that we can put where we want. We can embed it in social networks and games and websites and apps, and it works. It's also open. There's no one in control of it but you if you want it to be that way. And this interoperability and openness, which is core to Lightning, actually helps all of us. Everyone on the stage, everyone who's building on Bitcoin, everyone who's building on Lightning. So if someone has a Mash wallet and they're using it or earning sats with Mash, they can take that money any point in time and put it where they want in their control. And hardening the network that way with Lightning, I think is just incredible for all of us and for anyone building in the space, because we don't have the commitment barriers that past attempts at embedding money, which wasn't sound, but now we have sound money that we can put right into the web and anywhere we want. So that's what really excites me about the state of Lightning right now.
Cool. So, I mean, let's take a different frame. Bitcoin is 13 and a half years old into this experiment for humanity. You know, Lightning's about 5 years old. And if you're familiar with the crossing the chasm chart in terms of how humans adopt any new technology, whether it's telephony or electricity or the steam engine. There's an innovator phase where maybe 1% to 2% of the population is using it. Then there's an early adopter phase where maybe something like 10% of the population is using it. I would estimate we're still in that innovator phase where it's only 1 or 2%, but it's super exciting 5 years into Lightning because the innovators right now are nation states like El Salvador or Fortune 500 companies like Twitter or Block, formerly known as Square. And so I'd like to give the audience some perspective of scale. Maybe you can talk about your business in terms of number of users or some dimensionality of where you're at now and where you expect to be at over the next, say, 2 or 3 years. So maybe we'll take it in reverse order. Jared, you can go first.
Sure. So we started MASH about a year ago, built out infrastructure with Lightning to embed Lightning paywalls and a consumer wallet right into apps and websites. We've recently soft launched a few different sites to showcase the experience. So one is basically making fun of NFTs a little bit. So you can go to mashingmonsters.com, create a little monster like it's on my t-shirt right now, and share it, or right-click and save your JPEG, or you can find out the future price of Bitcoin at another site. But right now what we're seeing is interesting engagement in terms of adoption of our wallet and usage. So the conversion mechanism is actually really high, primarily because there's no commitment barrier. It's that openness of money. I'm just buying that thing for 3 cents. I don't have that minimum purchase price of $10. And so what we're focused on overall is remonetizing the web for all apps, tools, content, and experiences. In a few years, I don't want to put out grandiose numbers, but we want to help bring Lightning everywhere online.
Why no grandiose numbers?
I'll say I'd like that there would be 1 billion plus Lightning wallets, whether it's MASH or other wallets around the world in 5 years.
Okay,
Yes,
you heard it here first. Ray, what do you think, 1 billion? Can we do 2 billion?
3.
1 billion engaged users, right, who are using it on a daily basis, right, to make payments, to send money, to receive money. This is the key, not just signups, engaged users. We have to be aggressive with our standards for success here, right? This thing should be so easy to use that everyone can use it, right? So I'm actually in the middle of something right now. I want to decentralize my own company, kind of put myself out of business. Because the truth is, an American company cannot service the world. American company cannot be for the 100%, especially after what's happened these past 4 weeks. The whole world has changed completely and is not going back. And the only glue that's going to hold that all together with honest money is Bitcoin, which is a lot more than just a blockchain or a payments layer. There's going to be additional widgets built on top that will give everyone in the world a lot more than just a new asset to play with. They're going to give them their own little civilization kit that any country can just fork, and boom, they have a whole financial system which covers the most important point of governance. That's a win for all of us immediately when we get to that point. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
What was the question?
I forgot too, man.
Tell us about your business today. Give us some dimensionality and talk about where it's going over the next couple of years.
So yeah, Zion has about 3,000 creators using the app. To give you context of growth, we are, in the last 6 months, we accounted for 75% of all new Lightning nodes added to the Lightning Network with a public node and a public channel by all the metric standards. So we're big fans of helping growth of the Lightning Network. We brought, I think, 3,500 nodes onto the network with channels. I think one of the things that I'm seeing is I think standalone wallets in the space aren't actually the most killer use case. I obviously have a social product. I think the killer use case for Lightning will be social media with influencers. I really have a clear perspective on that, because if you can build a wallet on top of a social network, and then that experience is where people that are interacting with their favorite creators, seeing content, seeing videos, seeing photos, and in that same digital experience, you have a wallet that you can make payments interoperably across the world. I think that's the killer use case for Lightning. That's what I'm very bullish on that, which is why I'm building what I'm building in our category.
And so I'm not sure everybody understands what Zion does, and it's kind of important in terms of this social network. Just from my perspective that you're building, maybe you can give a description.
So our focus is to help creators build communities on top of Lightning. I think the first version that you've probably seen on the internet is this one user, one node model. But what's really exciting is where we're going in the next few weeks. Zion V2 is being released. We decided to take a really new approach specifically tackling identity, decentralized data storage and messaging, and then payments with Lightning. So on the identity side, we're going to be implementing DIDs as the identity base layer for every individual on Zion, which allows for interoperability with TV decks, for all the new things that are coming out of Block. And then the second piece is data storage with IPFS and messaging within a decentralized web node, and then a Lightning wallet on top of that as the final piece. So I think these are going to be the three key pieces that actually build the real Web3, not this alternative blockchain, crypto, token. Like, the true Web3 infrastructure is being built on DIDs, decentralized web nodes, and the Lightning Network.
Cool. So it's exciting. I have some follow-up questions there, but before we get to that, Des, can you give us some sense of dimensionality now and in the future for Thunder?
Yeah, I mean, we are really only 5 months into it, so we're really very new. But I think we've made a big impact so far. I think we have around 500,000 downloads, with just a very, very small team. But the one thing that's so beautiful about gaming is that I truly believe it to be the next social network. If you see games like Fortnite and Minecraft, people are actually congregating and living their lives and their social lives in these games. And what's the next kind of step to any social interaction? And that's the transfer of value. So how do we really support these beautiful in-game economies? I mean, economists learn so much from gaming economies. And so I think adding the real this value back in can actually create these tiny little metaverses. And I know that is such a cringe term, but it really is these circular economies that are happening in these games. And I think that's very much what we're seeing in our games. We can't even keep up with our users at this point. They want to create things in the game, and they actually don't want NFTs. We've had 2 people ask for NFTs out of all of our users. So it's great to have not have that kind of demand. So we are starting off really small, but it's incredible. And one thing that Ray said that really kind of resonated with me was decentralizing the company. And one thing that's super cool is that, well, it's not cool. We are very small, and I am really the only marketing team that we have, and so I just can't do it all. So I've actually just started outsourcing all of our marketing to our community, and I just pay them 10 sats here, 100 sats there for making memes, and it's helped us grow. We went from 3,000 followers to well over 10,000 at this point. It's small, but it's been a very short amount of time, and it's kind of cool because they also feel like they're part of my team.
You get a meme for 10 sats?
Huh?
You get a meme for 10 sats?
Yeah, and they're really good.
So they came up with the fuck bank meme.
Pay the person a little bit more than
team?
10 sats.
Can we say that on stage?
I don't know.
What?
Can we say that on stage? So I don't know if you people have seen, but Des and her team have been passing out condoms for use here in Miami, and it says "fuck banks." So it's your choice whether you want to do it the hard and fast way or the slow way, whatever your fancy is.
It's provocative, so, and that's a Lightning company for you. So.
Kudos to your marketing team.
Thank you.
So I want to pick up on this theme that Des and Justin were just talking about to make it a bit more serious. So I'm guessing most people in this room understand how valuable Bitcoin is as money, given its hard cap supply, given that it's uncensorable, given that it's unseizable. And to give some perspective here, the internet was gifted to us in 1983 with all these protocols, but we were not given a protocol for identity. We could have been, and we were not given a protocol for money. It's clear that Bitcoin has already won the battle to be money over IP, and most of the world just doesn't understand it yet. But the question I'm leading to is Bitcoin and Lightning solely for payments, or are there truly going to be these other use cases? So Justin, you kind of started angling at this question already, but maybe you can make it more tangible for the audience in terms of non-payment use cases on Lightning and how that might express itself in the years ahead.
I think that if, what we're seeing is you can actually, Lightning Labs released the fact that you can actually put a token on Lightning. You can actually move stable coins on Lightning within a channel using Taproot. So the potentiality is that a Lightning channel can in fact be a transport layer. So version 1 of Zion actually uses KeySend to send messages between 2 different nodes. So it's used as a transport layer for messaging between individuals. So there is a possibility that a Lightning channel can be used for more things than just sending a payment between somebody. The case is it the most efficient way to move something on the internet? But I think what we're seeing is patterning. I think the patterning from the developers is that there should be things that you own as an individual in this new world. The base layer you should own is your identity. If we all think about kind of what we're doing online, there's 1.5 billion Gmail accounts that people use to log into downstream experiences like your centralized Facebook. People use a centralized identity, which is a Gmail account, to log into a bank account. So at every layer, it's highly centralized. So for the first time, I think you should have your own identity online, and you should be able to transport messages against that DID. I think to me, those are the most important elements of how the new web should work, and most importantly, interoperably. Like, it shouldn't be set that like, oh, okay, this is another walled garden on top of another walled garden. Zion is not attempting to be another walled garden. We're 100% open source, and what we hope is that people will take these patterns, go develop their own applications, to be able to see that you shouldn't compete for like where the content is hosted or who it is. You should compete for the experience that the application actually provides. And oh, by the way, the payment should also be interoperable across all these networks, which is why we use Lightning. I think the future is all about interoperability, not trying to like just capture value by like, this is my user, this is my value. It should be all open as a network.
Well, Justin's doing an amazing job, because my next two questions are going to be on open source and interoperability.
Yeah, let's go.
Before we get to that, other panelists want to chime in on the non-payment expressions of value on Lightning in the future.
I really liked what you were saying, brother. I think one of the most powerful weapons we have as builders of products, which is ultimately how we manifest our greatest destiny to the people, because that's how we reach the people and solve their problems and provide them a great user experience. It's very important for us to stay connected to those people, right? Because then when you put a product out, like a Swiss Army knife for money conversions, like Paxful, let's say, we didn't know what it would be good for. But because we watched our users and saw how they used the product and saw how they hacked the product, we learned so much. For example, people will take an escrow service and kind of hack it to be a credit and lending micro platform. Right? And you can't believe the use cases that people will think up once you give them a tool that they can actually understand. So all we have to do is just keep watching the people we're actually building for, and remember that we're actually building for people. This is not a tool that other robots are going to use. This is something that real human beings will use every single day.
I don't think that they realize what they're using either, and I think that's one thing that sometimes people miss, is that most people don't care. Most people don't understand what self-sovereign money is. People don't understand why it's important, and I think that's why it's so important. And I think most of the people on this stage have gotten right, where it's like creating that user experience where they don't have to get it, and we just save them, right? And I think that's our responsibility, is saving the rest of the world.
Yeah, people are going to default to the option that's easy to use and it looks pretty, right? They're not going to default to the option that might be more challenging, but better in their
100%.
Self-interest.
Yeah, you can never forget that the reason that we're here, and in fact the topic of the day is really, it's always global adoption. Like, that's why we're here. Everything we do has to be focused on that prize, global adoption. If it's too complex for grandma to understand, then something's broken with our stuff. We have to fix that. And focus on education, as you were alluding to.
And that's one thing I want to say, is that with the games, what is so powerful is people come to our games because they're fun. We don't have huge prize pool right now, but what's so beautiful is they play. Most of our players have never had any Bitcoin in their life, but they're like, I'm gonna play this game. They win 1,000 sats, they win 100 sats. And here's the thing, they then have skin in the game. They then have to find a Lightning wallet. And I will tell you, most of them then go find a Lightning wallet because they know they have something of value. They don't understand it. They go download a wallet, usually custodial, and we've literally minted a Bitcoiner with just a simple mobile app. And it's incredibly powerful for people to tell me every day, my first sat I won in your games, and now I have it on a cold storage. And I'm like, oh my God, you've made it through this journey. And that's like what's so important, is bringing it to these people, and they don't get it at first, but bringing them to this team and almost saving them. And I think that's like what our responsibility is as leaders in this industry.
Sure. So I think we have the ability to take questions from the audience. So I'm going to ask one more, but if you have questions, get them ready. Find somebody with a microphone, or if there are no microphones, just come close to the stage and shout. and we will repeat the question for everybody's benefit. So my next question for the panel is, obviously Bitcoin is open source. You know, my company builds Bitcoin banking software. We're an open source company. You know, there's no incentive in the traditional banking and payment system to build open source because it's a closed permission private members club, right? But Bitcoin changes everything. And so my question to the panelists is, are you an open source company now? And if you're not, do you have intentions to be open source in the future? So maybe Des, you can kick it off.
No, we are not open source yet. Again, super early. So my co-founder, Jack, who's obviously a technical co-founder, that is something he's working on. So if somebody works at Firebase and wants to touch base after this, it is on our roadmap, but right now not. It is obviously very important to us, though.
Cool.
Yeah, we are 100% open source, and I think we're very open about the things that we're trying to build because we think people should implement on top of our feature set, right? Our relay is 100% open, and I think the combination of why we're trying to combine these three things is we want other people to follow these patterns. Like Zon should not be the only company that's working in this way. So that's the reason we keep it open. And the way we should compete in the free market is not because we have proprietary code or proprietary technology. It just should be, I am better than you are at building this application. That's how we should compete. I should compete against the UI and I should compete against the creators. So that's why we have the balls to be open source and say, like, let's go. Get in the market. Let's play.
Let's go.
Yeah.
LFG.
Well, we're not open source right now. I regret to inform you, my good man, it does pain my heart terribly. However, we must be. We must build a decentralized, censorship-resistant version of my company, Paxful, peer-to-peer marketplace. Why? Because it's a betrayal of the original mission for us to say no to anyone. Now we have to say no to Russians, no to Iranians, no to Venezuelans even, because the compliance is too hard. These are the decisions that companies make every single day, and it costs people, real people, their money, their lives, their time. So the question is, how do you do it, right? You've done the job already. You've open sourced everything, beautiful. Let's talk about a product like Paxful, which is going to get money, Bitcoin to the people and allow them to do something with it, convert it to anything, right? You can decentralize a lot of it, but there's certain bits and pieces which are very valuable, like the detection of fraud, which is huge in these peer-to-peer transactions, right? You can't open source that, because then the bad guys can look at your secret sauce and figuring out how you're detecting them, right? So there's all these little challenges we have to get around, but that's the fun part about being a product guy, right?
Sure.
Sure. MASH right now is not open source, but we build on with lots of open source software, particularly with payments and value transfer, with Lightning Protocol implementations in ways that will integrate it across the web. We do have plans to open source parts of our code and also contributing to different protocols that are out there that help with interoperability for Lightning. But as Ray was alluding to, there are parts of our stack that we can't just just show to everyone because it actually causes other unintended consequences. Even though there are the benefits of having people verify everything that you're doing, testing its security, and maybe improving it, there are parts that are 100% you should be doing for value transfer, and other parts that you just need to think really hard about what the trade-offs are.
Got it. So I think we have our first question from the gentleman here in the front row. Do we have a microphone?
We can hear you, bro. Go
You
ahead.
can just shout it. We'll repeat it.
Thank you. I'm Mark from Canada, psychedelic and meditation coach, and I help elevate peace through consciousness. And I'm curious, is there a pitch deck or cheat sheet, like 6 or 7 points? Because I'm typically, in 10 or 15 countries a year on the street helping people, and I want to be able to, invest into meditation and psychedelics, and that's why Bitcoin mix.
So a cheat sheet for Bitcoin education. So.
A pitch deck.
So the question for the audience, Mark from Canada, psychedelic and meditation coach, is there a cheat sheet? I mean, maybe this question for Ray, talking about getting in the streets, educating on the streets. What would you encourage Mark to do if he wants to spread the gospel around the world?
I would encourage you to go to our booth, brother, and grab a few, because we got them already printed out, man, with the 16-bit graphics, bro. It's sorted.
I think the best cheat sheet is go watch a Michael Saylor video. He's great. He's really smart.
All right, I saw another hand over
Got
here
nice
someplace,
hands.
right in the middle here, maybe 4 or 5 rows back.
I'm a software engineer from Mexico, and I have a question about how is it that this second layer of Lightning works on top of Bitcoin? I don't know anything about how does it work. I see that it's so fast and so cheap. Why isn't it like the first layer?
Sure. So, gentleman from Mexico didn't catch his name, wants to know how does this layer 2 Lightning actually work? It's kind of fast and free, but tell us how it works. Des, that's a question for you.
gosh.
You're the
I don't
expert.
know,
Work
is
the
it
Lightning
a-
Labs. You're the most equipped here. You used to run BizDev.
Yeah, I don't know. Does you want like a technical explanation, or where to look for the information?
Yo, brother.
Because it's something hash time lock contracts, like that is how the Lightning Network works. It's literally a second layer protocol where the worst way to describe it is these like kind of IOUs on this second layer where you're kind of transferring value between these peers across the network. I don't know like what technical.
Maybe, I don't know. My easy explanation is that the way you create a Lightning transaction is you take actual Bitcoin, you take this UTXO, then you create a channel between two nodes with a certain amount of Bitcoin. And because you take that out of the main chain supply, create this channel, allows you to freely move as much as you want through a smart contract. That's how you make it super fast. But all these nodes are connected together around the world, so you have to balance channels as you're moving payments across all these nodes. You take Bitcoin out of the main chain in order to transact on Lightning. That's why it makes it fast, but the base layer secures all of it. If you're a bad actor, you try to steal from somebody else's node, you're gonna get fucked because they're gonna take away that thing that they have in escrow.
Yeah, you're not having to confirm every single transaction.
It's a smart contract.
Yeah.
Like people like, oh, there's no smart contracts in Bitcoin. All of Lightning is a smart contract.
So the analogy I give my non-Bitcoin friends, it's like opening a bar tab, right? When you go to the bar and you're with a bunch of friends, you put down your credit card, they don't swipe your credit card for every drink. If you have 8 beers and 4 whiskeys and 3 martinis, they swipe it one time at the end of the night for all of those so-called transactions. That's a crude analogy in terms of how Lightning relates to the layer 1 base chain.
Yeah, another crude analogy, it's like changing a value in RAM as opposed to a hard drive, movement.
Yeah, I think that's what's most important about it, is like you're literally only pushing out that final state onto the base layer chain. You're getting all these like tiny little payments, and then when you've closed out the bar tab, then that's when you do the transaction on the chain. No, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, gentleman in third row here.
So, Virgil, also from Canada, you've got a room full of developers. You guys are all great in what you're doing. If you were to inspire developers to take a chance and build this, what's the barrier thing that you wish someone in this room would solve?
I didn't catch the key word.
Barrier or thing that you wish someone in this room would solve for your
Come work for me.
Let me just repeat the question.
I'll tell you exactly what to do. Come work for me.
So the question is about developers and what barriers might exist for developers to get into this ecosystem. No. Did I
What's
mishear
the
the question?
barrier, right? What's the big?
marketing is your problem. It sounded like
Oh,
Look, I think the general thing is we're very nascent at all these things. Like Lightning right now is like, imagine websites in the 90s. That's where we're at with Lightning. So in order for developers to continue to build on these tools, you have to build the developer tooling to be able to create these experiences. Like imagine email when you had to build your own email server. Imagine making a website before you had Squarespace. Imagine like that's where we're at right now. So you have to start building all the tools to make these applications. Generally us up here, we're the people going into the fire and pioneering shit that doesn't exist right now. So if you want to work on that kind of shit, work for our companies, but the tooling just doesn't exist yet. So you have to be like a Voltage, right? Voltage is this infrastructure provider that creates Lightning nodes. That helps companies like me build faster because I don't want to go figure out how to make a bunch of nodes, but you need all these different layers. Again, we have to imagine that we're right at the beginning of the internet with Lightning. And you have to go build the tools that will make the applications to go make the businesses to change the world. That's the stuff that you got to work on.
So let's talk about those tools. I've got a few ideas, and I hope you'll steal them, right? So after decentralizing a service like Paxful, what else would be needed, right? KYC ID on the internet, on the blockchain is very important. Also, you need a kind of Oracle marketplace, right, for the dispute arbitrators or any KYC provider as well. That needs to be a part of it. Besides that, what needs to exist? Credit and lending needs to happen on the decentralized way on Bitcoin. Any one of these things, if you would steal it, please do. I wish you all the success in the world, man. Go for it.
Another thing is the UX, is like just the general UX. I think that's a big challenge too. I mean, we see in other communities, Ethereum, like it is beautiful and fun, and you know, they've been able to like onboard a lot of people because the user experience is so great. But I think that's what's different about Bitcoin, that the fundamentals are there, the foundation is being built, and we don't want to bring people to the masses. I mean, for Lightning for the longest time, it was like Crayful Gang. Like, you don't want to be too reckless because we're still testing it out, we're making it safe. And so I think we're going to slowly get there, but I think for me, from what I'm seeing, is the UX is just like making products that people love to use, and it's a familiar flow for onboarding.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd also add that
go ahead, Jared.
if you want to build like different apps or different products online and earn money, part of the benefits of Lightning is you have completely net new business models that you can take advantage of. You can charge by time, by access, by usage. You can have people streaming money for a variety of other things. So you can touch Lightning and Bitcoin across the stack in a variety of ways, and like horizontally and vertically, whether it's you're building infrastructure services, or you're actually just building an amazing product that people want to enjoy, that they can now monetize a completely different way with Lightning. And that's some of the power of digitally native money that we've never seen before, that we're in the very, very early days of taking advantage of.
For sure.
And also join one of our teams.
I think we've got time for one final quick question. Lights are bright, but I think that's Martel in the front row. Question is yours. Question from Martel is, what are the most critical roles you're looking to hire for at your company? We've got 2 minutes.
Golang devs, easy.
Designer.
Oh my goodness, 100% product guys. Product people are the Jedi Knights of business. They're the heart of every business. They're the people that can connect, you know, support, understanding how the user actually goes about his journey, and talk to the engineers to get these products built. And they're building for humans. These are the most valuable people in the world. They are truly transformative talent. You usually only find them after their first failure, right? So if you know any, please send them my way.
We got designers, we got devs, we got product, and you need...
Product?
Engineering, marketing.
Oh, you need everything, okay. Time for one more question. Mr. King.
I agree 1,000% with everything you said at a high level, you know, the mission, like where things are going. There's only one thing that I kind of respectfully disagree with. Security by obscurity is never considered a best practice in like most engineering circles. So thinking about back to the need to hide or obstruct how your algorithms work to do like fraud detection, for example, like that's not really the practice standard in any other industry. So
We're out of time here. What's the question?
the underlying protocol themselves as published, like why would this be any different? So why would people need to not open source that have more scrutiny on it to make them as robust as they could possibly be?
My goodness, my good man. You got me, sir. I've been exposed. We'll talk afterwards, bro. Great question.
All right. Any closing remarks from the panelists they want to get in before the time expires?
I just want to show my company. Go download Thunder Games, available in the Google Play Store and App Store.
I love you guys. We're winning this fight. Let's be in this together always. We have come such a long way. We should all be so proud, and we're all going to make it, really. This is the beginning of something so beautiful. It's going to be the textbooks our children are going to read. Let's enjoy every moment. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.